Good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me and see the screen? Can you all hear me and see the screen? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Since now we have looked at already the way of writing and what to write and how to write in the sense of the content, how we are supposed to structure it, what can be the various styles. We've already looked at descriptive and we've also looked at persuasive. Although we've not looked at the other two kinds, which we will be looking at. Today, we're going to try and understand the style of writing. We have looked at the kinds. Now that we know how to write, what to write is what we're going to be looking at. How we need to incorporate ethos, pathos, and logos in a structured manner, which needs to have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. Now, when I say introduction, body, and conclusion, this is a very layman term that I'm using. And now I'm going to be introducing all of you to more terms which are specific to the kind or the language that we are going to be using. Okay, I'm really sorry, Akan. Were you all able to hear me? I'm not feeling really well. I'm really sorry. I'm going to try and be louder, but were you all able to hear me as much as I explained? Shall I repeat?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, like I said, I'm also going to be introducing new terms. 1 second, this is not the right document. I'm sorry, just give me 1 minute. Okay, here's the document. I'm really sorry, everyone. Okay, now, like I said, I'm also going to be introducing us to the right terms instead of always trying to use an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. So starting off with a term which is known as a thesis statement. Do we know what a thesis statement is?
No, ma'am. Is it related to somewhere like thesis writing?
No, a thesis statement is in all kinds of writing.
We can say synopsis, purpose.
Yes, yes. Anyone else? Okay, a thesis statement, I've also explained it here. All of you can also read it if you'd like. Now, a thesis statement, to explain, talks about the entire scope of what I'm going to be writing about. If it is an opinion piece, it has to always, when we start writing, we have to indicate our opinion, our stance pertaining to the topic that we are writing about. Now, the thesis statement tells the reader about that opinion as to what is your perspective, your vantage point, how you look at it. And also, it allows the reader to understand that this is the realm that we are going to be reading about. It's kind of how, for example, in a book, there is an introduction that tells us that, okay, the book pertains to this. That's exactly what a thesis statement does to your argument, the main argument. Making sense, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now the thesis statement, why is it important to know or understand or comprehend the thesis statement? Why is it important? Why can I just not write without it? Why can't I just write anyhow? Anyone, why do I need a thesis statement?
Ma'am, it's like a title.
Go ahead, Jigyasa.
It's like a title. It's like a title. So whenever we are reading any, any, what would I say? I mean, whenever we are reading something,
essay,
or yeah, whenever we are reading any excerpt, so it's very easy if we find a heading of the particular subject. So it could summarize what we can find out once we will go into detail while reading.
Okay, but it's not exactly the heading, Jigyasa, right? So, but yes, thank you.
Title.
Also, Jigyasa, the word that you use, excerpt, the pronunciation is excerpt. Say that again. Yes, I've sent it in the chat box, the spelling, okay?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Rituja,
Oh, ma'am,
Yep.
if I may, I think it can be like a crux to an entire thesis. Like it serves as a crux to the
Entire piece
authors
that
and
you're writing
yeah,
about.
like
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Rituja, go ahead.
I was I'm going to say exactly the same, like the gist of the whole topic, basically the purpose and motive of it.
Okay. Anyone else? Anything else that you'd like to add?
What
Very
we call as
abstract of the whole thing.
Okay. Thank you, Mithilesh. Anyone else? Okay, now, of course, it is to give the reader the idea exactly that this is what we're talking about. However, there is one more purpose. Now, the purpose for us as writers, as speakers, to know what my thesis statement is so that I also don't digress. Making sense. So, for example, right in the beginning, I have stated my perspective. I have stated what my opinion is. And thereafter, it will also be my framework that this is what I need to write about. This is the detail that I need to get into so that you, as a writer, do not wander off the topic. Making sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, some important parameters that I've tried to enlist here, which I'm going to read out. And that needs to absolutely, all these three parameters need to be incorporated or kept in mind while you're working on the thesis statement. Number one, it has to be clear. It has to, like I stated in the beginning, it has to reflect your stance and your opinion. It cannot be ambiguous. If you're writing about something, of course, if it is an argumentative piece, which we've not looked at yet, right? What an argumentative piece is. Now, to briefly talk about an argumentative piece, because that is the only exception, an argumentative piece, like the name suggests, you if there is a certain topic, you are weighing both the pros and the cons of it, so you're argumenting about it. Now, when you write an argumentative piece, that is the only time wherein your introduction has to be ambiguous and your conclusion also has to be ambiguous, because you cannot choose a side. Then your job as a writer in that position, if you're writing an argumentative piece, is to make sure that the reader can decide or decipher the best way out for themselves. You cannot guide the reader in an argumentative piece. You can, towards the end, just before the conclusion, state that I believe or my opinion is, whichever way your opinion is. However, you need to euphemize it in a way that it just shows that it's a suggestion and in no way a direction. So that's what it is in an argumentative piece. Only in that scenario, you cannot reflect your stance or your opinion, because the purpose of the piece is to show both sides of the argument. If it is not an argumentative piece, all other kinds of writing, and when I say all, I really mean all, they all need to reflect your opinion. It has to be very clear what is it that you support or not support. It should also be, when you're writing about it, okay, a lot of times we see that, there is a quotation used right in the beginning, and then there is an introductory paragraph, right? Have we seen any form of writing like that? Anyone?
It's like an abstract.
It could be a citation, it could be a quote, it could be an abstract. Yes, have we seen that?
I have seen it, and I also try to use it in my projects and research papers myself.
Okay, it's a great strategy. Now, the important point is that when you add that citation or that quote, or it has to be prior to the thesis statement, and thereafter in the thesis statement, you add your opinion. Do not add a quotation, a citation in your thesis statement. That is one of the biggest errors that anyone can make. So any citation, any quote, add it prior to the thesis statement, because your thesis statement is your thesis statement. You cannot include somebody else's words in that. So hence, like I said, it has to be original about the topic. It has to be your perspective. Definitely, if you need to add something, you can do that prior. Excuse me.
Ma'am, I have a question here.
Yes, Jigyasa.
While reading some book, what I have seen at the time of the first chapter, second chapter, third chapter, they used to give some quotes,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which used to say by some great author or philosopher.
Mm-hmm.
So then, how they are using? I mean, of course, I mean the content would be theirs only, original content. But sometime whenever I used to read a book, I have seen two-liner or phrase kind of thing, or some very famous quotes they used to give.
Right. And then after that, you see the paragraph starts, right?
Correct, correct.
So that's what I'm saying. So if you want to add that, no, you do it prior to this. After that, you start the paragraph. That's exactly what I'm saying. That don't put that citation in that paragraph. Making sense?
Okay. And in between, if some, I mean, it again depends. Don't you
Don't put
think
it
that
in the thesis statement. I will tell you where you can, when we go down over here in topic sentence, I will tell you where you can add it.
okay,
But just not here.
okay,
Okay, just
Yeah.
not in the so see, Jigyasa, when you open the article, right, you're
Yeah.
stating your opinion. Prior to that, like you said, in books you've seen, in articles you've seen that there is a quotation right in the beginning, and then then the article starts, right?
Yes.
So in the first paragraph, don't quote somebody there. Quote it prior, quote it post, just not there.
Got it. Got
Okay.
it. Sure. Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome. Anyone else question pertaining to this? Okay, moving forward to the second point. The thesis statement, very important, cannot be verbose. When I say that, you cannot keep going on and on. It has to be very, very concise, and it has to be very coherent. You in the introduction, usually there are 5 to 6 sentences that would entail a good introduction. So that means you have the first 3 sentences as your thesis statement. Now, when you have the first 3 sentences as your thesis statement, you have to make sure that whatever it is that your opinion is, you state that in a very, very clear and concise manner. You cannot, number one, don't repeat the words. If you've used them, try to use synonyms. And 2, yes, iteration and reiteration is a form of writing when you can emphasize if you'd like to, but that is also an art. That does not mean that you keep repeating the same point again and again. That would just ensure that the article or your perspective is nothing but redundant there. So your words have to be very limited. Over here in your thesis statement, it has to be limited. Why? Because you have to also make sure that in those limited words and through those limited words, you're able to construct and invoke the interest of the reader so that the reader will go down towards the topic sentence. If you give everything out here, what is it that the reader has to go forward for? There's nothing that the reader will wait for. So that is the reason you need to make sure it's very limited here, so that as a reader, you would want as a writer that the person who's reading goes through your entire piece. So here it just has to be the main idea, the bird's eye view, or the overarching theme that you'd like to say that. Thereafter, your stance or your position pertaining to that theme. And thereafter, just some detail. Like I said, some detail, not all the detail. Making sense? Questions, anyone so far? Okay, now the third most important word to keep in mind is that what you're writing in your thesis statement, like I previously stated also, your thesis statement also works like a framework for you as a writer when you know that, okay, this is what I'm writing about, this is what my perspective is or my opinion is. Thereafter, when you go down to the body, which we'll look at various topic sentences and paragraphs. Now, thereafter, when we proceed to the rest of the structure of our piece, the entire piece has to be unified. Now, when I say unified, what I'm also trying to emphasize here is that right in the beginning, if you have stated your opinion, then support that opinion by giving evidence, by giving explanation which supports your opinion. Don't suddenly change sides and write contradictory statements, because then you're actually just making your perspective weaker. So understand what your perspective is before writing, and make sure the entire piece follows through. It has to be unified, because if not, then you're just confusing the reader. What is it that you're trying to say? Making sense, everyone?
Yes, ma'am. But ma'am, don't you think that if somebody is writing for the first time, uh, they would have all these ideas? I mean, for the layman, I'm telling. So in that kind of case, most of the time, editor used to give an idea, right?
It depends, Jigyasa. I mean, why do you think you can't write? You can also write constructing your own idea.
I'm just trying to correlate with the book which I was reading recently. So in the very beginning of the page, he has mentioned the same thing, that he's not a writer. So he has just write whatever he had an experience in his life, and basically
Mhm.
editor used to like edit the thing.
But see, Jigyasa, when you're writing, for example, if you're writing even an email, or if you're writing a report also for your office, you need to even know this. It's not only for a book. Are you understanding?
Yeah.
It's not like this is only going to be used in a book. This is just the style of writing and speaking also. Even if you have to deliver a speech, right? So the same structure, that even while you start with your speech, you need to have a thesis statement and then an introduction. That is why it's the style of writing and speaking both. So no matter the piece you write, this is like the basic framework or the prototype you can understand, like what you need to build on.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So far, any other question? Okay. Have we understood what an introduction is and what it needs to entail? A yes or no would really help me, please.
Ma'am, what's the difference between thesis statement and introduction?
Thesis statement is a part of your introduction. Like I said, your introduction is the first 5 to 7 lines. The thesis statement is the first 3 to 4 lines of that introduction. Did you get the structure now, Nirja?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Anyone else? Any other question? Okay, now I'm going to move forward. So,
Ma'am, one question.
yes.
Like generally, we write abstract and thereafter introduction. So, what we are studying now, according to that, what is abstract and what is introduction in that?
See, your abstract, Nirja, is the scope of what you're writing, right? What it needs to cover. That's so, like I said, you may know other terms, but grammatically, these are the right terms. Like for a layman, like most of us use introduction, right? Or an abstract. The right language is that thesis statement is a part of your introduction. And then there are paragraphs. Each paragraph has a topic sentence. That's what we're going to look at. So, like I said, these are new terms also that I'm introducing all of you to. Not just what it means, but what it's called also.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. May I move forward, everyone? Any other question? Okay, going forward. So far, we've understood what an introduction is, what a major part of the introduction, right? The opening of an introduction is, which is the thesis statement. And then we have some introductory sentences. Thereafter, we know what we, again, commonly call the body. Have you heard of introduction, body, conclusion, right? So what we commonly call as the body is what I'm going to talk about now, a little bit in detail, however, okay? Now, each paragraph that you construct in your piece, now it could be 3, 4, depending upon the length and the purpose. It could be also hundreds of pages, like I said, depending upon the purpose, what it is that you're writing. Now, how many ever paragraphs you want to incorporate? Each paragraph has to have a topic sentence. Now, what is a topic sentence? When you start a paragraph, the first 2, 3 lines of your paragraph, which talk about that in this paragraph, I am going to be highlighting further points. How you open the paragraph, and it's like an introduction for each paragraph. That in this paragraph, I'm going to be talking about this. Remember the Peel technique: point, evidence, explanation, link. Do we remember that? Okay, so this is where we have to either incorporate, I'm sending the acronyms here, either the Peel or the Petal, which are the two most easiest techniques. And now, when I say Peel, it means point, evidence, explanation, link. When I say Petal, it is point, evidence, technique, analysis, and then link. Now, each paragraph has to be in this order, which is your Peel or your Petal. How? Now, let's talk about how do we do that. The topic sentence has to have what it is that you're going to be writing about, which is the introduction that you're going to talk about. It has to include the central point, the theme that you're highlighting in that paragraph. That's one. And the topic of that particular paragraph. Now that you've understood that in this paragraph, this is what you're going to be talking about. When I say Peel, now I'm going to talk about how do we amalgamate or mix the topic sentence in the right structure, which is Peel or Petal. Now, when you know your topic sentence, you state that exactly as your P, which is you point it out, that this is what I'm going to say. If you just point it out, you've done a job which is not done completely. It's a job done which is not going to literally lead you to any result. Why? Because you've just stated what it is. You have to thereafter state an evidence. Now, how do you state an evidence? Is remember ethos, pathos, logos?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So now we will add that ethos, pathos, and logos. We are going to add to evidence. Which kind of evidence are you giving? Are you giving something which is logic, which is statistic, which is data, which will make it which logos, ethos, or pathos? What?
Reliable, ma'am.
People, what is logic, statistics, data? What's the word? Logos, ethos, or pathos? Choose.
Logos, ma'am.
Logos, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So your evidence has to have a style. If in the first paragraph you've chosen to give statistics, if in the first paragraph you've chosen to give data, stimuli, fact, research, please make sure in the next paragraph you have ethos or you have pathos. Now, are we able to understand why did we do ethos, pathos, logos?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, moving back, once you've stated, for example, the first paragraph, you've stated the topic sentence, which is your perspective about that paragraph. Excuse me. In the evidence section, for example, in the first paragraph, you've stated logic, which is some form of statistic or research or data or some numbers, some percentage, actual bagged facts. That is going to be your evidence that you've given now. How are you going to explain that? When thereafter, once you've stated that, talk about its impact from a very logical, coherent perspective, because in the first paragraph, you've chosen to go the way of logos. So when it is logos, please stick to that. In the same paragraph, do not talk about ethos, do not talk about pathos. Thereafter, link it back. The last L is link. Where do you link it? You link that paragraph back to number one, the topic sentence. Number two, you link it back to the thesis statement. Each time you close a paragraph, you have to make sure that your thesis statement is getting stronger, because that is what you're writing for. That is the purpose. Remember the scope? Yes? No?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I've explained the first paragraph through logos. I'm going to explain the next paragraph through pathos and the last through ethos. Is that good, everyone? Any questions so far, just with the first paragraph?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Shivangi, I'm just going to write the full form of Peel and Petal, okay? Just give me 1 minute. That's Peel, and I'm sending the next 4 Petal as well. Okay, moving on to the next paragraph. We start the second paragraph. Again, now I'm going to use pathos. Okay, what is pathos? Anyone?
Emotion.
Mhm.
Remedy, ma'am.
Power of human suffering, like empathy, sympathy, bathos.
Very good, Jigyasa. You remember all of these words? Okay, moving forward to pathos now. Again, we open the paragraph with the topic sentence. Thereafter, this time, like I said, through pathos, I'm going to state evidence which is in the formation of pathos, which has two words, which is emotion, not emotion, but emotions and suffering. Both of these words. Now, when I say emotion and suffering, you need to try and link it to the impact on humankind. It can be, now again, depending upon the topic, you need to paraphrase, understand what your logos, ethos, pathos would be, because it's going to be subjective and respective to the topic, right? So once you've stated your evidence through ethos, please support it. Add explanation, and then again the same process. Link it back to the topic sentence, which is the introductory line of the second paragraph, and then link it back to the thesis statement. Good?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, moving, since we've looked at logos, we've looked at pathos, now I'm going to talk about ethos. Remember, I think I was talking about quotation, citation, right? And I told all of you that I will tell you when to add, where to add. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So what exactly is ethos? Can anyone remind, please? What is ethos? What's the purpose of ethos?
The
Credibility.
Exactly.
Ethics.
Now,
To establish credibility.
Exactly. Now, when I'm trying to establish that credibility, here is the part where I need to add XYZ who knows something about the topic. Remember, how do you build credibility? Please only now add quotation,
ma'am.
add citation. Yes,
Quote expert, ma'am.
exactly.
Yeah.
Expertise is the word. Remember, thank you, Vipul. Expertise is the word that we need to remember for ethos. Now, when you're adding, quoting, citing people or citing things to support what you're saying, it could be a research, it could be a fact, it could be a quote from somebody, it could also be a sentence from a book or another place. Now, when you're adding that, here is where you're adding credibility to what you're saying, that not only do I believe this, there are other people also who believe in the same thing. And you've also given statistics for it. You've also given the emotional aspect for it. Thereby, you make the piece extremely strong. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what I also want to add here is expertise, for example, which is your ethos. That is the only aspect that you can jumble up throughout, no, not in the introduction, but throughout the paragraphs. For example, now what I'm saying is, for example, remember the first paragraph talked about logos, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now in the first paragraph, if I want to add ethos also, that these are the statistics given by, if you add a citation or somebody, it could be a thing, organization, a person, depending on what you're writing about. So like I said, expertise, ethos is what you can make sure that you add in each paragraph, and that's all right. Good? Because eventually the entire purpose of incorporating these techniques is to make it stronger. And if by adding ethos to each paragraph, if it is making your piece stronger, please go for it. Good? Okay. Now, since we've understood how the body part works, which is your paragraphs, which have topic sentence, each paragraph has to have a technique, which is peel and petal. And within that technique, you need to incorporate ethos, pathos, logos. Are we good with the structure? Have we been able to follow this?
Can you please explain once again that petal thing?
Okay. Peel or petal? Which
Yes.
one, Jigyasa?
Both.
Okay. Jigyasa, choose a topic, Jigyasa. I'm going to do this since you have a doubt in this example with an exercise of peel and petal with you. Choose an example, any topic, any theme, quickly.
Companies Act.
I mean, something I know also about. I'm not
Global warming. Global warming. Global warming.
Okay.
Can we do global warming? Public
Yeah,
health,
sure.
anything else?
Sure.
Now, what is your perspective about it? Which topic? Go. Yeah, which one did you choose?
Women empowerment.
Good, great. Point. Give me your evidence. Your statement first of all. Point to your argument. What do you think about women empowerment? If you have to,
Equal right.
if you have to, yes. Okay. You're so in the first paragraph, you want to talk about equal rights.
Yeah.
Okay. Frame the first two sentences quickly. Point it out.
So, yeah, so as per my view, women should be women. What would I say? So women would, I mean, the company should acknowledge the contribution by women, and women have a right to get the equal pay, and they also have an equal right as the other men employee has.
So equal working rights, equal pay and
Equal working rights, yeah, equal pay also.
Okay, so that's your point, right?
Yeah.
Okay, give me an evidence. Why do you think it's important?
Because I mean, I believe that men and women both are putting the same effort, and women are capable, they are educated, and they are multitasker. So they can excel in all the field.
Okay, see, Jigyasa, what you did. First, you said they can put efforts. Then you said they're capable. Then you said they're multitasker. Then you said that they can put effort. Which one realm are you talking about? Are you talking about actual logic? No. You're talking about emotion? No. You're talking about credibility? No. What have you done? You've mixed everything. This is, now you know why I'm telling you this. Remember your question, that when a layman writes, this is exactly how a layman writes.
Ma'am, here we will put that the equality in our constitution. So women need equal pay for equal work, ma'am, because of the constitutional right.
Okay, so Vipul, your point is that it's a constitutional right, right? Jigyasa, I'm going to come back to you. Just give me a minute.
Sure.
Okay. So Vipul, if you want to say that that's your point, that it is a constitutional right, what is the evidence? Which is the best thing that you think you want to start with? Ethos, pathos, logos?
Ma'am, ethos. Because
Great.
the constitution have
Exactly.
right.
What will you quote? What will you quote? Go ahead.
Yeah, Constitution of India giving a right to equal right for human and man as well. So
Great.
that's why.
That becomes your evidence, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Give me the explanation. Now, in the explanation, you can go ahead and incorporate either logos continuing the same. Remember, we said we can also incorporate expertise.
Yes,
So go ahead, add that. Give me that as explanation.
So that women have expertise like a man. So that's why woman is entitled to get same pay as man, ma'am.
See, Vipul, you're adding explanation to what you previously stated, which is number one, it's a constitutional right. It is given by the constitution that you've added, right? As your evidence. Now, when I say explanation, I want you to support that point and that evidence that this has been happening for so many years. And according to research, if you want to add logos now, according to research, according to a certain fact, that's how you go forward. If you don't want to add according to research, then you perhaps add an expertise quote that, for example, okay, give me a good example of who can you quote here. Do you think you'd like to quote an artist? Do you think you'd like to quote, I'm giving you three options, Vipul. You'd like to quote, go, I think you already said, go ahead, tell me again, please.
Bureaucrat Kiran Bedi.
Okay, female, right? Not somebody male in that in that point. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So see, now you've quoted a female there. You've added some explanation to that. How would you link it back? Now, Vipul, when I said I need you to link it back, which are the two aspects you have to link it back to?
that the women like Kiran Bedi doing the tremendous job in employment.
Pause.
So
No,
say,
pause. No, you have to link it back to your topic sentence. What was your topic sentence? How did you start the paragraph? What was your main
women
point?
empowerment, ma'am.
Equality.
Equality.
Constitutional right. Your
Yes, yes.
equality was your thesis
Yes.
statement.
Yes, yes,
Women
yes.
empowerment was here. But your
Yes, yes, yes.
first point you said was constitutional right. I'm writing everything you're saying, Vipul. So
Yes,
remember
ma'am,
that.
yes.
Now,
Yes, ma'am, yes.
now you need to link that to your topic sentence, which is number one, constitutional right. That not only here, how are you linking that not only the Constitution of India, but the Constitution of XYZ other countries also support
Right.
this.
Yes,
You've
ma'am,
linked it now to your topic sentence.
Right,
Link
ma'am, right.
your next statement has to link it back to the thesis statement, which is a constitution, which was women empowerment, right? So now you
Yes.
talk about that and you close that first paragraph. Good?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, Jigyasa,
Yes, ma'am.
did you understand?
Yeah, ma'am, if I would ask in your language, how you would have started?
You want, okay.
Women empowerment, same topic.
Okay, so when I would not talk about the constitutional aspect the first, I would definitely talk about pathos first. Because number one, that is the only aspect that can, okay, remember, what was the difference between logic and pathos? Remember there was a statement I used? When one fails, one is capable of filling the lacunae, which is the one which is capable of filling the lacunae, Jigyasa?
Yeah, you have given example also. Some.
Yes.
Yeah, some court case. Yeah.
Okay, so the example that I had stated was that, okay, logic is something that appeals to?
Yes.
Appeals to research, evidence and all.
Yes, but in human body, it appeals to human senses, Jigyasa.
Emotion,
Yes.
emotion.
Logic.
And brain.
Thank you. Logic, brain. But remember when I said that if your brain is something which is not able to comprehend or understand the profound depth of something, which is the other aspect that can?
Emotion.
Exactly. So Jigyasa, if I had to write a piece on women empowerment, I would definitely start with emotion. There's no way I would start with logos right now. Logos would actually be my second paragraph. Okay, to give you a structure, I would start, of course, with the introduction. I would definitely cover ethos. Go back on second paragraph would be logos. Last would be ethos, but I would definitely add ethos in every paragraph. And because of the understanding the sensitivity of the topic, I would definitely use a lot of hyperbole in the sense of pathos, which is emotion.
What is hyperbole?
When you exaggerate something more than it is needed.
Okay.
Okay. That is a hyperbole. Remember, Jigyasa, a few days ago, I told you of the word euphemize when you have to say something in a much softer manner, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sending the word in the chat box. The first is euphemize. For example, you want to say something harsh, but you want to convey it in better, kinder words. That is euphemize. And the opposite of that is hyperbole, that even if you want to say something which is very subtle, you exaggerate it in a way that the impact is, manifold. Again, ways of writing and speaking. So I would, in that circumstance, use hyperbole and not euphemization.
That touched the heart of the reader, man.
Exactly.
Right.
So now, since I've also spoken about hyperbole and euphemize, did you all understand euphemization?
But
and what
ma'am,
hyperbole is?
I have a question.
Yes, Jigyasa, tell me.
Why, why every time women will play a woman card? I mean, why we cannot start with the logic? I mean, they are capable. Why they will go for an emotional side?
Jigyasa, I'm not saying you can't write like that. That's your piece. You write it the way your opinion, right?
Okay.
Remember, you state your opinion.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you want to start with logic, by all means, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, anyone else? Any other question?
Ma'am,
Yes, Dipani.
ma'am, according to my understanding, when we utilize ethos, pathos, and logos, we need to use separate paragraph for each one. And while doing so, we can use them, blend of them.
Yes.
Is
You can
that
mix and match, amalgamate. Go ahead.
Can we do so, ma'am?
Yes, yes, Dipani. Yes, you can mix and match. You can amalgamate. Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Tigrim, tell
So
me.
when two topics are fusions, just like population, growth of population and environment, and you have to keep in mind that you have a word limit of say 150, and then you have to bring into the solution by the end of the conclusion. And how would I come up with the idea to put my writing in?
Okay. Tengrim, when you say you have two sides, you mean that there are two propositions to the topic? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's an argumentative. What is the word limit that you said?
Say 150 to 200, these competitive exams instead.
Okay.
All those are giving average of 200 words.
Okay. So give your introduction, say 50 to 70 words. I'm not good at math. I'm going to give you a rough number. Give your introduction 50 to 70 words. Because it's 200 words at the max, you just make 2 paragraphs of, again, say 80 to 100 words, each paragraph, maximum 120. Are you left with still 70 words roughly for your conclusion?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so that. Okay?
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Any other question? Okay.
Ma'am, I haven't got the peel and petal technique you were explaining.
Okay. Nirja, I've covered it previously, but I understand you haven't gone through it. On Sunday, this Sunday, I will make sure that I incorporate peel and petal in a little bit of detail. Also, what I'll do is, I do have a document previously wherein I have explained how peel and petal works. And also I have tried to highlight what peel, P-E-E-L-S. So I will make sure that I go through that on Sunday. Okay?
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Sunday, peel and petal. Okay, anyone else? Any other question? For now, what I've explained, is that understood how we amalgamate ethos, pathos, logos, understand the topic sentence and the thesis statement so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, I'm going to talk about what concluding sentences are. Now, concluding sentences, very simple to understand. They always conclude. Of course, now in your conclusion, what you really need to understand and keep in mind is, right in the beginning of the conclusion, I want all of you to make sure that the vocabulary in the first 2 to 3 lines of the conclusion, wherein you're stating your suggestion and the first 2 to 3 lines of your conclusion can entail suggestions and recommendation if in case the topic so requires and needs or necessitates at that point of time. If yes, the first 2 to 3 lines of your conclusion can be suggestions, recommendation. Thereafter, you still have to go back, and this time in the conclusion, you do not have to support any topic sentence, not at all, because that part has already been taken care of. But what you really need to support now is your thesis sentence, your thesis statement, which is your original stance as to what you're writing about. For example, in the example that we were discussing, we were writing about women empowerment. This is where in the conclusion, the first 2-3 lines of the conclusion, like I said, state some suggestions or recommendation, how it can be improved. Post that, you need to link it back to the thesis statement that you were writing about. Good? Making sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Now, since we've understood these three categories, I'm also going to now talk about what is called an essay plan. Now, an essay plan, roughly, remember, I just use the word, it's like a prototype or a structure or a framework, right? Like, for example, when you're constructing an edifice, a building, there's always a structure which is created first, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So that essay plan is that prototype, it's that structure. Now, when prior to writing, now this part is prior to writing, this is your planning. Each time you're right, if you want to write a good piece, please make sure you have an essay plan. Now, whatever you're going to write about, in the essay plan, you need to have the introduction, which is again your topic sentence or your thesis statement, depending upon introduction or if it is the body. So when you start, you know, okay, this is what I'm going to be covering in my introduction. Hence, this is going to be my thesis statement. This is what I'm going to cover in my first paragraph. Hence, this is going to be my topic sentence. This is what I'm going to talk about in my second paragraph, and hence that's going to be my topic sentence. Again, why do we need this? So that number one, the addition of the kinds, which is ethos, pathos, and logos, if it is a persuasive writing, so that can be fixed into the structure in a manner that when the piece is finally out, it is complete. So for that, it is very, very important that we understand what an essay plan is. Good?
Yes, ma'am. But in case of descriptive, ma'am.
In case, see, Vipul, ethos, pathos, logos is more of persuasive. Remember the detail of persuasive?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, see, why I have focused so much on persuasive is because most formal writing is persuasive in nature. It is not descriptive in nature, right? Like, for example, if you're writing
Okay.
either an email or a report or an article also, it's going to be persuasive, or an essay, right? Descriptive, remember the aspects of descriptive writing? Vipul, tell me the aspects of descriptive writing.
I'm not remember.
Remember the five senses: olfactory,
Yes, yes, right, ma'am.
gustatory,
Yes, 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 yes.
right? What you see, what you hear, what you feel, what you touch,
Yes, ma'am, yes.
right? So remember now, why, like I said, I'm not focused on descriptive so much is because in formal English, legal English, there's hardly, I mean, descriptive writing is mainly, if you're writing a book or fiction, or it's a story or a plot. So hence, I'm not, focused on that too much. But
Okay.
I mean, if you want to know the
No,
structure,
ma'am. So, okay.
okay. Yeah, I mean, that's the reason I didn't cover that. Formal writing, I've covered that. Any other question? Anyone so far? No?
Ma'am, as you explained, ethos, pathos, and logos.
Mhm.
Ma'am, throughout that thesis statement and the main body, yeah. So we should follow that till the
Yes.
conclusion. We should follow that pattern.
Yes, the entire, okay. So Nirja, each topic sentence, now remember I said it can be the first 2-3 lines of each paragraph is the topic sentence, right?
Yes.
How you begin that. Now, how many ever paragraphs you have? Like, for example, like if it is a small article or if it is a report, then you can't elongate that article too much, right? However, if you're writing for a newspaper, if you're writing for a magazine or a law journal, or I don't know, like the purpose, right? Depending upon that, how many ever paragraphs you have, you keep adding a topic sentence. Now, if it is a very long piece that you're writing, then each time you keep repeating ethos, pathos, logos, because technically, if you look at the fact that how would you support your argument, you will either, I mean, if you broadly, I mean, why I'm emphasizing on ethos, pathos, logos is if you actually broadly categorize information, or if you categorize stimuli, it will be either it'll be a statistic, or it is going to be a research, or it is going to be something which is proven. That's how you will prove evidence, right? So technically, the categorization is in that way, and hence I'm asking all of you to incorporate that. Making sense?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome, Nirja. Any other question? Anyone? Okay. What we're going to try and do is we will try to go through the first 2 or 3 paragraphs. I want us to try, number one, in the introduction, try to look at the thesis statement, and then do the same for the first 1 or 2 paragraphs, figure out the topic sentence. Good, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
please read the headline so we know what we're reading about. Just the first paragraph for now. Take a minute, spend time, understand, and then let's discuss it. Okay. Question. Just the first sentence. What does that tell you? Please, of course, read the entire paragraph and then go back to the first sentence.
Ethos.
Okay. Jigyasa, I'm going to ask you why. So think about the why. I'm going to.
This is a statement.
I'm
So,
going go ahead. Go
because
ahead. One by one, please.
yes, ma'am. As a logic that democracy is important role for all over the world.
On the
So,
rocks means bad.
This is thesis. This is thesis a statement, ma'am.
Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I kind of knew that we would make a mistake because wait. Okay, this is on the ropes is a phrase. It literally does not mean is on the ropes. What does is
By
on?
hanging, it means that it's declining.
Yeah, it literally means that it's hanging by a thread. Okay, that
yes,
is
ma'am.
what is on. For example, I say the result of this or the progress of this. Not when I say this, I don't mean literally. It's just a hypothetical example. The progress of this class is on the ropes. It means that it is in a very helpless, collapsible, situation. Making sense?
In danger, ma'am.
So now read the first sentence again and tell me, what do you think it means? Anyone?
It is a pathos because it's a pathetic suffering kind of.
Yes, ma'am. It's a suffering
Emotional.
and emotion as well, ma'am. That democracy is in danger, ma'am.
Okay. And does it also tell you the opinion of the writer or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Does it make it blatantly clear just in the first phrase of the article or not?
Yes,
What is
ma'am.
what is the writer's opinion about democracy? Is that absolutely clear or not?
Yes, ma'am.
That according to the author, according to the writer here, he thinks that democracy right now is in a condition that it can collapse, it can fall apart. And he's
Yes.
given you that opinion, that stance in the first 5 words of the article.
Yes,
Yes?
ma'am. Yes.
Okay. And what is exactly after that? And President Biden says he wants to fight back.
Pathetic. I mean,
Okay, so yes, we are incorporating emotion, yes. But why do you think he's quoted President Biden in the first line itself? Why not somebody else?
Ethos,
It's
ma'am.
evidence, ma'am, that the democracy is in the danger, ma'am, and Biden is taking action
Credibility.
to
Is calling for other leaders as well to come together and fight against this communism that is rising.
Right. And do we see that the first thing that has been done is the opinion has been stated, and immediately somebody has been quoted, but that somebody is not just anybody, it's President Biden straight away. Do we look at how somebody
Yes,
is
ma'am. And also taking action against to save the democracy. That's why he quoted.
Exactly. And he wants to fight back. Now, this fight back is also supporting these 5 words. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a random article I picked up. It's not that I plan to tell you all of this through this article. Making sense, everyone? Are we able to see how we're writing now?
Yes,
Okay. Now I'm going to pause for today. I'm sorry, but I won't be able to extend today's class. I'm not really feeling well. What we're going to do is Friday, we're going to continue, and Sunday, we're going to do the same exercise more and in detail. Now, today, what we've just done, please, if you all get time during these days, pick up an article, try to understand what is the writer's opinion. Has he made it clear or not? What is the evidence? Remember the point, evidence, explanation link? Remember Peel Petal?
Yes, sir.
Okay, look at the first line of this, but there's a snag. I've not even read, I've read the first paragraph, but I haven't even read this entire thing. But the fact that, but there's a snag, it just shows you immediately that we are going to add some contrast. Yes or no? Right in the first sentence of the next paragraph.
Yes.
In a report published in March, what is this? The Swedish Research Organization.
Evidence.
Evidence, ma'am.
Good. Okay. So that's what I want you to do. Please pick up random articles, do this exercise by yourself. And like I said, we're going to continue doing this on Friday and then Sunday. Good.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your time and your participation. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
ma'am.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.